there was never a time that I felt like I couldn't go into the classroom or, and just say, like, talk to the teacher before or after class. They are available and accessible. They never seem overworked to the point that they're exhausted and don't have time to talk to me.
I'm Glenn Herbert, and I'm an editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private schools to gain insights into their programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administrators. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
It was kind of a happy accident. I happened to be driving from my house and took a shortcut to get somewhere else. And I don't know Toronto very well. So I was really surprised to find this little school kind of tucked into a valley with a nice campus, a beautiful playground, surrounded by trees and a creek. And I didn't even know I had no idea where I was. I was like, we're in Toronto. Where is this? And so I looked into the school to find out, what is this place? Is it a nursery school? It's so charming looking, nestled in the forest. And saw that it was a private school. And I asked some people in my neighborhood, and it turned out one of my neighbors um, sent her son to Crestwood and had since he was in JK. And she just said it was a wonderful experience for them. But that wasn't really it. Like at the time, again, I thought he would be going to our neighborhood public school because it is a very good public school. But I decided just to go down and visit the teachers and look at the campus. And I spoke with the teachers, and they, at the time, they just said, if you feel comfortable sending him here, it's a team taught class because this was JK. Where they get lots of playtime. At this point, teaching is playing. They're going to learn from playing with other kids.
Mhm.
And, I just got a sense of warmth from them, and watching the kids listen to the teachers in the classroom. Everything there was very orderly and calm. And that was very appealing to me. It didn't, the kids were happy. There was noise, right? They weren't, but there was attentiveness. And you could tell from the way the children were interacting with the other students as well as the teachers, that they were all mutually respectful of one another. The kids were still kids and the teachers were still the teachers. But you could see that everybody really enjoyed what they were doing. And
It
I was kind of a fly on the wall. I wasn't, you know, it wasn't an act. I went several times and got the same impression. I don't know if he's an introverted child as much as he is shy, and he is very thoughtful. So when he is in situations with other kids, or in any situation where he has to engage with others, you can see the wheels turning in his mind. He's thinking about things. And um, what impressed me the most was that he never was unhappy to go to school. He had been unhappy to go to daycare, and he had been unhappy to go to nursery. Um, but he was never unhappy to be dropped off. And he loved it. He made a friend, and then he was comfortable. Like the other kid, he was always just very comfortable. And he didn't he didn't speak a lot in class. He didn't talk a lot. He wasn't super social, but he was comfortable. And what I have seen over the years since he's been there is that general comfort and ease at being in different situations, whether they are with new kids in a new classroom, or when he's going to a baseball team where he doesn't know any of the other kids, or he has to speak with the neighborhood kids about things. It has grown over the years from when he was 4 to he's now 9, where he speaks very easily with other people. He carries with him a confidence, and, I still make this mistake of saying to people before they meet him, he doesn't talk very much, he's really quiet, he's pretty shy, and then he will, burst on in, and they can't get a word in edgewise because he's so busy explaining things to them. And not, and he is respectful. That's the other thing is, and I believe that does come from Crestwood. There is always this sense that you may not like the other kid, you may not like me, but we're all in this together. We are here. We will respect one another. We will respect one another's opinions, even if they are different than ours. And, again, I just remember I've heard that from others, from several teachers actually, and I don't think they get around and think to themselves, this is our mantra, but in many different ways, in many different contexts, we may not be the best of friends and we may not be friends after, if we're not in the same class again, but we will respect each other. We will listen to each other and look out for each other. And they really do that. Like my son considers all of the kids, even if he doesn't see them except at school, he considers them his friends.
Cool.
Much the same way you would consider people your work colleagues. I think he loves his teachers. They have excellent teachers. There's just I think that Dahlia, who is the principal, must do an amazing job of picking people, but also making sure they're happy enough to stay and happy enough to be happy in their work. She creates an environment in which the teachers, I think, feel very supported, and that comes out in the way that they engage with the children and teach them. He loves the teachers because they make him laugh. They keep it fun. If he's ever frustrated in a subject, he's not like, I hate Mr. So and so. He's frustrated with himself that he doesn't get it. And then if I make him and ask him to meet with the teacher before school or after school, which the teacher is always willing to do to figure out like a long division concept or 3-digit multiplication, he will happily go and meet with the teacher. He doesn't want to meet with me to talk about it, but he will go and sit with that teacher as long as it takes because he knows that they will engage with him in a very positive way. I mean, if he had to answer that question, I think he would say his favorite thing is probably, again, gym. He loves the gym classes. He loves the playground activity, which I think is just as important as the inside learning. Um, they have enough physical breaks during the day that they're not going nutso in the classroom. Any of us sitting for 3 or 4 hours at a time needs a break in a positive way, and they get that, and he really enjoys that too. There are so many things. One is that if I ever have a concern at all about what he's learning or something that he's told me has happened at school, um, and there are, like it's not, obviously it's not paradise. Kids have fights, kids act out, those sorts of things happen. It's the way they're handled. I can, if there is an issue with his learning or with a friend or anything, I can write to the teacher, um, or or to the vice principal or the principal of the elementary or secondary, and I get an immediate response. Often I will get a phone call, and it happens very quickly, and it is dealt with extremely well in the sense that all the facts are what my knowledge of an incident is asked about, or what is going on is asked about, and then thoroughly discussed and analyzed. Sometimes a little bit, maybe to the point where I want to say, like, okay, it's fine, don't worry about it anymore, we're all good, but they bring that attention of detail and desire to understand to everything. So I'd say that, but also just the accessibility of everyone. Like, um, there was never a time that I felt like I couldn't go into the classroom or, and just say, like, talk to the teacher before or after class. They are available and accessible. They never seem overworked to the point that they're exhausted and don't have time to talk to me. Um, the other thing, obviously, is the education. Um, I think that the academic education is just as important as the social and emotional development. And I do feel like he is getting all of those things in equal measure. I don't think that the academics are um, highlighted over the emotional and social development of their well-being. And I don't mean to say that they aren't um, challenged academically. It is a tough curriculum. I am sometimes very impressed and astounded at the level of mathematics and French that he's being asked to master. And he surprises me every day with what he can do. Because I know when I was growing up, I was not asked to do these things as a 9-year-old, nor was there that expectation. And there is a level of expectation of work ethic and mastery of material that I find very high. And so I've always been very impressed with the standards academically. And then at the same time, there is that, what I talked about before, that kind of, we're in this together, mutual respect. That does not get left behind. And also responsibility, like a sense of responsibility for one's own work, as well as responsibility in a community sense and responsibility environmentally, um, and just, one's development as a human being. I think that there is the emphasis, the way that they emphasize all of those things is, um, I find extremely positive. I mean, that's a good question. Like, for one thing, what could they work to improve? I mean, I probably could have said more before the pandemic, except for the way they have handled the pandemic has been so outstanding and so impressive that it is difficult for me to say. You know, I think that they handle problems with such finesse as well as understanding and absolute attention that that is certainly not a weakness. Um, They offer French, and she does such a thorough vetting of her teachers and staff that I can't say that that is a weakness. You know, I think for people who rely on public transportation, I would say that that is probably one of the issues, is that it is not an easy location for people to get to if you rely on public transit. I think what I do find surprising, to be quite honest, is how much I love it and how difficult it has been to not just commit to it through grade 6. I really thought that when I started sending him there, oh, it'll just be for JK, SK. Okay, then just for year 1. Okay, okay, year 2, we'll do grade 2 there. I'll it hit and it's just that, the improvements in his self-confidence, in my son's, academic abilities, from his kind of what I thought was slow start to reading to his absolute love and mastery of reading, and storytelling, that has been surprising to me. Not just the academic stuff, but his development as a human, in confidence, in speaking French, um, in facing new situations. I think that that has been the most surprising thing. A child's development, not just academics, but emotional and, I guess, emotional, physical development, as well as academic development. I think it takes all of those things. It's about nurturing individuality. And I think that sort of sums it up. It's kind of like, well, we're all here to get along, but every person is still viewed as an individual, and that individuality is very much appreciated and honored. It's not to say that those kids will not be expected to maintain certain academics standards. And if they need help in an academic subject, they will get it. And I know that sounds crazy because there are lots of kids, but I swear every teacher knows every kid's name, from grade 5 kid who said hi to my son when he was in JK and SK and knew his name. And it's not a small school. They are aware of who these kids is. So by the time he comes to grade 5, that teacher has seen him for 7 years and has an idea of who he is and what's gonna, help him learn better. What she can count on him for in the classroom, and what she knows he might be struggling with. It really is about like looking at that child, and they really do it. They would value education, above all. That's why they have sent their child there. Um, Typically, a parent would come maybe later in the grades, like if they came at fourth, fifth, or sixth, is because their child, they realized, needed more attention than what they were getting in another setting. So it would be for education. I think that we all have that in common, that we want our child to have an excellent education. Crestwood operates in a sense knowing and anticipating that most parents are both working parents. So tries to not expect a whole lot of parent engagement in an onerous sense, if that makes sense. Um, when I started sending my son there, I was working full time, more than full time. And I remember the teacher saying to me, "You do not need to worry about this. Nothing will fall through the cracks. That's what we're here for. That's what you're paying for." Because I felt so guilty about missing a book fair. And it was seamless for him. He had no idea that I missed the book fair. But there is definitely the sense, when the parents and teachers, when it's a normal school year, there are opportunities for parents to get as involved as they want to be. He So they have this, they do Project Give Back every year. But before that, even they do a Terry Fox run every year at Crestwood. He did talk about it through Project Give Back. My son started a fundraiser for birds in Ontario, that were wild birds. He wanted to help protect environment and do whatever he could to protect wild birds. And this happened because a woodpecker flew into the window of our house and died. And he wanted to do something to help wild birds. And he decided, because I think he was inspired by the Terry Fox run that school does, to do a 10K to raise money and awareness for wild birds in Ontario. And he presented this to Crestwood at as his Project Give Back. And he did do this all on his own. He raised over $2,000, did not tell the teacher, didn't tell the kids until he was done doing it. And again, like, he talked to he got a lot of help from the Ottawa Wild Bird Center. And they were amazing. They encouraged him, and a lot of support throughout Ontario. And when he was able to present that to the kids, I was so proud of him. I was so amazed at him. He was very matter of fact, because I'm telling you, he was not the only kid who did something very impressive and on their own for this Project Give Back, to raise awareness about things. So I guess that's what I would say, is that I cannot imagine him doing that fundraiser on his own, doing a 10K, which on his own, had he not been encouraged and inspired by what he had already seen other kids doing and what he had already learned about at school. It just all seemed to kind of cohere together. It was really awesome. My experience has been very positive. I've found every year that each teacher is as engaged and more wonderful. Like I guess briefly, I would say every year I end the school year thinking, well, that was the best. We will never be so lucky and have such a great teacher again. Let's remember this. This was an amazing year. We had an amazing teacher. I can't believe how good it was. And every year at the end of the year, I'm surprised again that we had such a wonderful, amazing teacher. And I mean, so because they're so willing to engage with me if I think that there is an issue or a problem or a stumbling block for Aaron. And they give me their time, they give Aaron their time. And I would say the same of the administration. Sometimes there's a learning curve. Like they clearly know what they're doing. They have been doing this. Dahlia herself has been at Crestwood and kind of developing Crestwood for 40 years. So I can't imagine, excuse me, how many times she will get a parent like me who will send her an email and ask a silly question, or not even a silly question, but a question out of concern. And she will handle every question with so much respect, understanding, willingness to listen. And she's probably heard the same sort of question a million times. And she never makes me feel like I'm not being listened to. And I would say the same for the teachers. They engage very willingly and with such respect and understanding. And they make me feel like I am a respected parent and that my concerns are valid. And I remember one time even emailing the PE teacher, poor Mr. Cooper. I think Aaron was 6. And I just said, I'm concerned that Aaron isn't running fast enough for a 6-year-old, which I'm embarrassed to say I wrote. And he wrote me back and said, please know that if I had any concerns about your son's physical development, you would have heard from me by now. You can trust us. Please trust me that if I had any, concerns, I would have been in touch with you. And I found out later that that was absolutely the truth, because as soon as Aaron started having trouble with math, I heard from his teacher. I thought he was doing fine. And she, called me and said, I noticed Aaron is having difficulty figuring this out. Can he come in before school tomorrow and meet with me and we'll figure it out? So it is true. If I wasn't hearing anything from the teachers that they were handling it and he was well. So and on the same token, if he had speech issues, he had writing issues, he had reading issues, things that sometimes I thought, okay, well, maybe he's just developing differently. Or if I was concerned, they were already on the same page with me. So I really do value the not just the experience, but also the attention that and respect that the faculty and the teachers and the administration give. I would recommend a family choose Crestwood if they care about education, and education being more than just academics, but also personal development, a child's individual development and growth. I think I would also say yes if they wanted a co-ed environment for their child. I understand that some people do not for whatever reason, but as the mother of a boy, I felt very strongly that I wanted him to, with no siblings, I should say, I would want him to engage with other children, including girls. And I think if you want a place that also values kind of outdoor activities in the sense that their children are given many opportunities to have not just playground time and gym time, and hikes by the river. They also spend a lot of time when they can taking them on outings, either to theater, um, to the museums, to a lot of the things, the Japanese Cultural Center, things that Toronto can offer that we as adults appreciate about living in this city. So those are reasons why they really take advantage of that as well. If I was starting at Crestwood, I would say, don't worry so much. Everything's going to be great. And, try, I would also go back and say, you made the right choice. There's no question. You absolutely made the right decision by choosing Crestwood. So don't worry. You're fine. Your son is fine. He's thriving.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.